Hello everyone, welcome back to House Gnome Gaming. Today I thought we'd start a run of This War of Mine. This is a war game that is very different from what you're normally used to. This is a survival game where you start with a group of survivors and you have to live and try and stay happy and fed and keep your moral compass about you until the war is over. I have played and survived every scenario, some by the skin of my teeth, and it took me a very long time to do that. So I thought it'd be fun to maybe try and do it on stream. This game has a lot of slow moments to it, so I'll probably do some very heavy editing in certain spots because there's no fast forward button on this. The days are as long as they are, and you just have to wait. You work on your house during the day with your survivors, and then you go scavenging for supplies at night, and each day and night cycle lasts a certain amount of time, and there's no way to fast forward it. You can pause it, but no fast forward. So once you get past the initial rush of gather, build, it gets a little draggy at points while you wait for days to go by where you don't really have anything to do. So your survivors are just sitting around doing nothing. So I will probably edit those days down so that you're not sitting there just staring at my survivors sitting there staring back at you. Each group of survivors has different strengths and weaknesses. Boris, right here, is fantastic because he can carry 17 items in his backpack, which is by far the most, but he's kind of slow. But I'm not going to run this scenario with him. I think what I will run is this one. It's a fairly well-balanced starting scenario. There are different houses that you start in. This one is not one of my favorites. How long has this siege lasted? It's hard to say when every day is a struggle for survival. The city is crawling with snipers. Shelling is ordinary business almost every night. Phones don't work. There's a shortage of food and meds, and many people are left homeless. Bruno and Marko have always been good friends, so when the war broke out, they decided to stick together. They met Pavle, we'll call him Pavle, while scavenging for supplies. He used to be Pagoran's star football player, now he's just another homeless victim of war. So they teamed up, hoping for the best. This is a fairly strong set of characters to start with. Pavle's not great, but he's fast. He's got mediocre carrying capacity. Bruno is terrible for scavenging. I don't ever use them. He's got low carrying capacity. He doesn't have any special scavenging skills. However, he's a cook. So when he cooks food, it takes less food supplies to make the meals and less wood, which is important. So he's a resource saver. Marko is great for scavenging. He gets a boost to his scavenging. He has a fairly large carrying capacity. However, sometimes it can be hard to keep his morale up. So the first thing that we want to do is get these guys scavenging in their own home. I want to scavenge as much of the initial stuff as we can and build what we can. It's random as to what building you're going to start with, and I actually don't really like this one at all. This is one of my least favorite buildings to be in. Once I scavenge this side of the building, I just don't even bother with it anymore. Okay, we have gotten to a point where I think we can start building. So you scavenge for supplies in your home base. and then you start building things right away. So one of the first things you want to build is a metal workshop so that you can make yourself a crowbar and a shovel. I gotta go from the inside on that. Okay. There. That's a chair. This is the tough thing about not being able to pause, is I can't pause and look and see where to go. Oh my gosh. I'll go up there. You break this open. You do that. Alright, let's make the shovel. Brick in there. What are you doing? Back up there. Alright. Pavle, you do that. Marko, you do that. Bruno, you do that. So this first day is kind of hectic because you want to get as much scavenging in your house done as possible. Okay, we need components for that. So until we get some components, we're kind of stuck. Only one person can use the shovel at a time. So any of these areas that are barred by shoveling, only one person can do it at a time. Otherwise, they're stuck with their bare hands like that. And we're starting out with Marko slightly sick, Bruno slightly wounded, and Pavle is fine. Really wish Marko would have been fine. But that's okay. No components, really. Well, that's not good. This is for trading. These are for building. We can use this in place of a crowbar or to sneak into things. We really want a crowbar. Any other place I can scavenge right now? No. So we're going to need to build some things right away. Need beds, we need a stove. There's a bunch of stuff that we need. I don't have the components to do any of them. Aha! Alright, one of the first things we're going to make is a bed. Now, right now, what we can do is place this bed somewhere and just leave it without actually building it. Once we build it, we can't move it. You have to destroy it and you only get part of your components back. One of the reasons I don't particularly care for this building is some of your, like, you can't put anything in this room at all because of this radio equipment that's here. This one really limits where you can build your stuff, and it aggravates me. And each of our guys has a bio. Marko is a skilled scavenger. Thought I'd been through hell before. I'm a fireman. I've entered blazing buildings to save lives more times than I care to remember, but back then I had people teamed up against a common foe, namely the fire. Nowadays, your former neighbor can kill you because your grandparents spoke a different language than his. This is true hell on earth. Pavle is the fast runner, or Pavle. Before this whole mess began, I lived with my wife and son in the better part of the city. I haven't seen them in a long time. I hope they're okay. I'm not doing so well, as you can see. Who needs football players during war? Nobody cares about sports when every day can be their last. So I scavenged the ruins like everyone else, hoping for the best. As you can see, he's a fast runner. And we have Bruno, good cook and a smoker. So he gets etchy if we don't keep him in cigarettes, and he'll wander around complaining about the lack of cigarettes. So it's a morale hit to him if he doesn't get his cigs. Before the war, I used to own a restaurant. I even had my own TV show, Bruno's Cuisine. I'm sure you've seen it. I visited beautiful places where I was filmed cooking exquisite dishes. All that seems of no importance now, don't you think? Nowadays, you're lucky if you get your hands on some canned meat or a bag of rice, and who knows how long this war is going to last. Alright, so no more scavenging to be done except down here. We have until 7 o'clock, and at 7 o'clock it's going to flip from our day cycle into the nighttime, and the nighttime is when we go scavenging. I don't have enough components to... Wow. Well, okay. We also have to worry about it getting cold in the shelter. We start out fairly warm on this playthrough, but in about a week it'll become winter, and we have to have heat and wood, and it gets complicated. Okay, so we flip over to nighttime at 8 o'clock. Alright, and this is where the real fun of this game happens. So at night, you have to go out and scavenge for goods. Once you start exploring these locations, more locations will open up, and then eventually locations will shut down because they'll be unreachable for either fighting in the area, or they're snowed in and they can be unreachable for a day or a week, you don't know. So when you're scavenging, you want to take as much useful stuff as you can, as quickly as you can, because anything you leave behind, if it becomes unreachable, you just can't get to that stuff until it is reachable again. You have to pay attention to what it says for each area. For instance, the quiet house. A beautiful estate remains almost untouched. Calm area, little house with porches and gardens. Most of those houses are still inhabited. People are trying to lead normal lives. We've got nothing to look for there unless we're willing to steal. So food, meds, and parts. But we're going to have to steal from people, which means a morale hit. And if we get low enough morale, our people will either leave or they will unalive themselves. Ruined toy store. Used to bring joy to children, now it's a silent reminder of the happiness taken away from them by war. Food, materials, meds, huge parts, huge weapons. That's a good place to go. And the shelled school. Shelled school has been shelled several times. Unfortunately, most of the cellars have collapsed, so it might be a good idea to bring a shovel, maybe some other tools. They say some homeless people have taken refuge inside the building. There's food, materials, meds, and parts. The shelled school is always good if the homeless has taken refuge in it, because that means that there's no hostiles in there unless you antagonize them. So that always has good items in it. We're going to start with the ruined toy store, though. So as you can see, Bruno has 10 backpack slots. Marko has 15. Pavle has 12. We're going to do Marko first, though. We're going to have Pavle guard. Bruno's not a great guard. We want Bruno to be our daytime dog's body. We're going to have him do all the building and the cooking and the maintaining of our fortress, so to speak. All right, I'm not positive what we're going to need. I haven't actually been to the toy store very often, so we're going to take the shovel and the lockpick. I would prefer to have a crowbar, but we don't have a crowbar, so we're going to be stuck with the lockpick, and if there's more than one barred door, we won't be able to get in. We also don't have access to files yet, so if there's any barred doors, we can't get in them regardless. All right, we only have until 4 a.m. If we're still here at 4 a.m., then we're in trouble. Now, what I tend to do is I scavenge everything and bring it to a location near the exit. So I will fill my backpack up. Now we know there's no danger in this location because it told us that, so we're not going to bother to peek through like that to see what's going on. Won't open, huh? Can we get up there? No. All right. Okay, so there's a person here, but they're not hostile. They're just searching also. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Now right now I'm going to run up because I see I need a lockpick down here. I need a lockpick right there. I can't get up there. We're going to go down when we come back in while I debate whether I want to lockpick that or lockpick down here. This is why I would have preferred to have a crowbar. This is why we bring a shovel, just in case. So if we come back here a second day, we won't need to bring a shovel and take a spot for that, because we're going to go ahead and shovel all the piles. And we'll know if we need to bring a file or an extra lockpick or anything like that. Oh, good. These are hiding spots, so if there's hostiles or people that you don't want to encounter, just pop into a hiding spot. Actually, there might be thing upstairs. Keep that. Let's go straight up. Get up here. And hurry, hurry. 2 o'clock already. Got everything up here, right? Yes. All right, I believe that is the last place to search. Take what we can from that. Just one tobacco leaf, not bad. Okay, it's 3:30. We need to hurry it up. Search this last pile and decide what to take out of it. This is why we gather everything in the front. So next time we come here, all we have to do is grab that one tobacco leaf, and then we can go through and grab whatever we want just from here. All right, so there's a lot of things we're going to need to build, and I actually have a notebook where I've written down what I have to have for everything that I need. The clock does not count down while you're looking inside, conveniently. So we know we need components for our crowbar. We definitely want that crowbar. We have one bed. We can go a little longer without it. Should really get a rain catcher, a radio, and a stove. We need to upgrade our work table. So we have components, wood, parts, electrical parts. Already had a little food at the house, so I'm going to leave this food behind because if we get raided right now, we don't really have a good way to protect ourselves. And I don't want anybody to steal our food. We can come back and get this food later. And take a stack of electrical components. Stack parts. Stack of weapons. Don't need the bullets yet because we don't have a way to shoot them. I'm going to take this for trading in case the trader shows up. Take what little wood there is. I'll leave that food. I'm going to take a bunch of components. I'm going to take that for trading. And I'm going to take that for trading. Yes. The night was calm. Alright, so you can see now Marko is hungry, sick, and tired. So we're going to get Bruno out of the bed. We're going to put Marko in the bed. Pavle, who stood guard all night, is also hungry and tired. Now what I tend to do is feed them every other day. So they will eat on day 3 and then 5, 7, 9 going forward. Let Marko sleep first. Pavle can just hang around. We're going to have Bruno do all our doings. Marko will sleep for about half the day, and then he will no longer need to sleep, although he should stay in bed longer because he's sick, but we're going to get him up and have Pavle get in the bed so he can rest up for night duty. So they're going to hot racket for a few days until we can get a second bed, but right now, second bed is not a priority. What we want is a rain catcher, stove. We'll have to make some filters for the rain catcher. We need a radio. The reason we need the radio is so that we know what's going on in the outside world. We also need crowbar. We should make a knife so that we can have something to defend ourselves at night. Otherwise, it's just a guy punching anybody that shows up. So I think what we're going to prioritize right now is make a knife so that Pavle's got a weapon. If you're going to do combat when you're scavenging, you should take the knife or a gun, but otherwise you do need to have some kind of weapon in your shelter at night because raids happen. Alright, make the rainwater collector. So the reason we want a rainwater collector is in order to cook, you gotta have water. To make water, you use the rainwater collector. You want to stockpile the water because when the wintertime comes, the rainwater collector seizes, so you can't collect rainwater through that. What you have to do then, if you didn't stockpile enough rainwater, is you have to melt snow. So you have to not only dig up snow, but then you have to have a filter to filter it and wood or fuel to heat the water. And you're going to be pretty fuel tight trying to heat your shelter. So I tend to put off doing water that way and try and collect as much water as I can beforehand. But you have to use components to make filters, and right now we're low on components. So it's all a matter of balancing. I'm going to put off making the stove because we don't technically need it until tomorrow. I'm also going to put off making the radio and making any filters because we don't have enough components to do those in exchange for making this crowbar. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to go to the school instead of going back to the toy area. I'm going to go to the school because they have lots of wood and we're very low on wood and there was no wood at the toy store. So, we're basically done until it's time to scavenge. Can't make anything. We don't want to use our books, they increase morale. This is a chair. We'll have Bruno go sit since he's wounded. All right, Marko is done sleeping. Typically when they're done sleeping, they'll get out of bed, but because Marko is slightly sick, he's laying in bed to recover. That was weird. He's laying in bed to recover, so instead we're going to have Pavle move into the bed. You typically want to wait until early afternoon before you skip to the end of the day if there's nothing going on, simply because you could have somebody show up, a neighbor that's asking for help, or the trader to trade goods. But typically, if they haven't shown up till by about 3 o'clock, it's pretty safe to say they're not going to show up. In which case, you can end the day. All right, same thing. We're going to have Marko scavenge, Pavle guard, and Bruno's going to sleep in the bed. And you can see we opened up the Shelled Brewery, which has a nice danger here. One of the oldest buildings in the city, housed in a prosperous brewery, which started gaining international recognition shortly before the war. So danger means that you're going to have to fight people when you're in there, or you're going to have to sneak and try and not get caught. The supermarket is located in the area remaining under military control, but people are still trying to scavenge it for supplies. We can expect to meet other scavengers there, so it's probably best not to get in their way. Some doors might still be locked. A crowbar could come in handy. This one says caution advised. Typically you can go in and scavenge and there are other people there and they're not going to bother you. In this scenario, there is a scenario where there's a soldier that tries to assault another person, and you have a moral dilemma with that one that you have to work through, but we didn't get that particular scenario. I typically cheese this one by sending someone the first day, and then if you go in, trigger the scavenger cutscene, and then run right back out and wait to scavenge the next night, they'll leave and they won't take anything, so all the loot will still be there. Otherwise, you gotta run and get to the good loot before they do. We're not gonna do this tonight. We're gonna go to school. And we will definitely need the shovel and the crowbar. And this place is huge. Now there's a pile of rubble up here, but there's usually nothing over here, so you don't actually need to clear it. There is something here, but you can come up from this side. So I'm going to do first is the majority of the clearing. So you can jump up from here up to here, and there's a pile right there. I'll do the majority of the clearing, and then I will run pile to pile scavenging. You can't go from here to here. This is boarded up from the inside, and I can't cut through that right now. These are the homeless people. They won't bother you if you don't bother them. The reason I'm not running right now is because every time he runs, he slams these doors open. So I'm sort of sneaking to minimize the noise. I don't need to, but it startles some of the homeless people and makes me feel bad. Alright, if you come in the school, make sure you read, ignore these guys. This little symbol right here means that if you take that, it's stealing, and that will trigger these guys to be aggressive. Anytime you see that it's stealing, you'll take a moral hit, or you'll trigger aggression, or something bad will happen in exchange. Read this note. It's a note left for someone. I prepared the secret stash behind the fridge like you asked. I already put some stuff there so you can see if it works for you. The reason you want to read that is because once you read it, this stash right here will appear. This hand does not show up until you read that note. Okay. This is also stealing. It's a little bit of food. You got to have a way to force the grate, which we don't. So now, scavenging time. We can be a little noisier now because all the doors are open. Man, my cat is just being a real butthead today. He's into everything right now. You have to be real careful leading this guy through here, because the pathing that they want to automatically take is through this room that you can't get through. So that's why I clicked here, then over here. And now I can leave behind the crowbar and the shovel while I do my scavenging. And we're not going to get everything tonight. You can see it's already 2:20. We'll get what we can. The trader's probably going to come tomorrow. He typically comes by about day 3. So we'll take some things to have on hand to trade. Alcohol's always good for that. So's medication, bandages. They trade for a lot. Believe it or not, you can find teddy bears. They trade pretty good. Better than you would anticipate. Especially if you have the character that has the trading perk, which we do not right now. At some point, a 4th character will show up to join us, but it's random. We could get somebody really good, we could get somebody that's kind of a waste of space. Alright, we are full, and we're out of time. We might get caught by the sun. I scavenged for too long. Oh, run to the exit. We don't have time to stop. Alright, we got raided. Bruno has a deep wound and could use some bandages. We're going to leave it here for right now, though. So what that means is it's actually going to save based on the previous night. The save comes right at the beginning of the day, so when we come back in at day 3 the next time, we might actually get a different notice. Bruno may not be hurt. We might have been raided and some stuff taken and nobody hurt. It could be Pavle that got hurt. There could be no raid at all. It'll trigger a new scenario because we're leaving, but it only saves between night and day. So there's not much we can do about that. Thank you for joining me for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. If you'd like to see more, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when new videos come out. Once again, I'm House Gnome Gaming. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.